Good evening. Welcome to the November 10th meeting of the Aiken City Council.
You know what? I need
If you're inclined, please rise for the invocation followed by the pledge. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, send down upon those who hold office in the city of Aiken the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people. In your name we pray. Amen. Chief, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before the meeting begins, I will review the guidelines. Meetings are public forums in which many opinions are expressed, and the business of the city must be conducted. As such, discipline, honorable, and professional decorum is paramount. Courteous and respectful communication is required. There should be no disruptions from the floor while council members or members of the public are speaking. Anyone wishing to speak must be recognized so that we can retain order as we conduct the business of the city, and all comments can be put into the public record. During public hearings, all questions and statements from the public shall be directed to the chair. If you wish to speak, raise your hand and I will recognize you. Please approach the podium and state your name and address. In order to allow an opportunity for everyone who wishes to address council, speakers should limit their comments to the subject being discussed, please. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes to address an issue and may only address an issue once unless questions from council are posed to the speaker. During the non-agenda public comment section, each speaker has 3 minutes and can only speak once. We now move to additions and deletions to the agenda. I recognize Mayor Pro Tem Ed Girardeau for this matter.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. And then there was one. I guess I'll be back at the next one and open things up, but at any rate, it's been a wild ride. We'll save some comments for next week as far as that's concerned. But it has been my honor to be Mayor Pro Tem and serve as Mayor Pro Tem for Mayor Teddy. We've had a good time. At any rate, there are no additions or deletions to tonight's agenda, and I move that as a motion. Mayor?
Thank you. Councilman Waltz, second the motion. All those in favor? Thank you. The minutes were provided to council for review prior to the meeting. Is there a motion for approval of the minutes?
So move.
Councilwoman Gregory made the motion, and Councilwoman Price made the motion, and Councilwoman Diggs seconded the motion. Any comments or changes? All those in favor? Thank you. Motion passed. There are no presentations on the agenda tonight, so we will now open the floor to public comments on non-agenda items. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker and for a total of 30 minutes. Who would like to start? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. It's good to see y'all. I hope you all are feeling well tonight. Stay warm. My name's Kurt Johnson, 114 Brewster Way, Aiken. One of the things that I want to bring up tonight, first of all, happy birthday to the U.S. Marines. Second, tomorrow's Veterans Day, so thank you for all the veterans. I guess the last time that I was here, I had spoken a little quickly about how many overdoses and how many overdose deaths we have. We have never had 269 overdose deaths in Aiken, so just to clear that up. For October, we do have 291 suspected overdoses, but there was only one fatality out of all that. So by us pushing the Narcan out into the community, it is actually starting to show a little bit of progress toward the overdose deaths. With this weather starting to turn, There's going to be a couple places that people will be able to go to warm up. One of them will be Aiken Ebenezer Church. We'll start it Thursday morning there at 8 o'clock. Lex will tell you about his. But other than that, that's about all I've got. We just got to, if you see somebody out there, let us know. I mean, you've all got my number. It's open 24/7. And we will try to help them out as much as we can. The shelter's going to be full for a while. So we're gonna try to work on something on that aspect as well. So, any questions?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I know the city has warming stations, I think at Smith Hazel and the Leslie B. Price Center. Stuart, am I correct?
I did not hear the question.
I said I assume that the cities has warming stations located at Smith Hazel Center as well as Leslie B. Price Center and Odell Week.
Yes, during normal business hours, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so people can actually go there to
Right.
stay warm during the day, and they all close at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, okay. One of the things that we do is we're gonna provide them with warm drinks and hopefully have enough soup to pass around
Okay.
as well. So we'll give them a chance to even charge their phones too.
Okay.
So,
All right.
anything else?
Any more on available housing for those that are
There,
out?
it's starting. We've got a couple of opportunities right now, so that is something I'm going to let Lex talk about. He's more
Okay.
into that. One thing that I will ask is if you know people that have cup of soups and ramen noodles, we definitely will need them this year. So that's one of the things we're going to be looking for, and hand warmers that go in the gloves. So.
Well, I've packed the blessing box at the Clyburn Center 3 times in a day, and probably an hour after I put everything in, and that included noodles and other snacks and soup and so forth, it was gone.
Well,
Yeah.
at this time with the SNAP program being in flux, it's made a big difference on that too, because we're seeing a lot more coming to us, and they're not homeless, they're just people that are
Yeah.
without food.
Right.
So we're dealing with it. We got the churches. The churches are really stepping up, which is an amazing thing, so.
Thank you for all you do.
Oh, it's all God, believe me. Anybody else? That it? Okay, have a nice evening.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Lex?
Evening, Council. Lex Perry, 1526 South Boundary Avenue, pastor C4 Impact. I want to give you a quick update. As Pastor Kirk said, we are working on getting some additional housing. We have been able to secure some additional housing now with a cooperation with a partnership we just had with CMSG Legacy Group. That's led by Shania Butler. She's the director. So we were able to house, or actually by tomorrow, a single mother and 4 children at that location. We have 3 other rooms that will be available at that location as well that we're working on. Of course, we're getting beds and covers, pillows and so forth, getting it completely set up so we'll be able to house more. Particularly in that location, we're looking at women, mothers with children, because that's a very difficult place to place someone in. So specifically, that's where we're going to be gearing there. We are pretty much
That location.
Pardon me?
Where is that location?
That's at 1238 Hathaway Bridge Road. That's the house where it is. We are currently looking at other partnerships that are out there. So if anyone, homeowners that they're renting the place out, looking at it, please give us a call, see if we can contact, because we want to collaborate and reuse what's already there. It's a great way to get people housed very quickly. Usually within 72 hours, we can get somebody in place, just as we did in this particular case. We are almost at capacity where we are at C4. I think, matter of fact, we have 1 place that's open, and that's going to be filled. and we're rearranging it as needed. But we're going to continue to look for more housing to be able to get people into with the support that you all have been given with us. You know, we're so thankful for that. But other than that, we have a warming station Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. We picked that time because we know that generally the emergency shelters late at night kind of open at that time for the extended hours when it's really cold. So we know that you have those ones during business hours from 5 to 7. We'll be open to give, coffee, hot chocolate, soups, and things like that. We also use that as a touch point to find out what some of the needs are. We have staff there sitting down, find out what's going on. We'll also schedule laundry, showers, and that type of thing as well. And also if somebody needs to use our computer lab, we'll set up those schedules for those as well, because all of that was going to be on our site. So again, someone in need, give Pastor Kurt and myself a call. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that they're taken care of. Okay?
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. We'll move now to approval of the consent agenda. Mr. Beedmo, will you please read the titles of the items on the consent agenda?
Thank you. We received no comments or requests to remove items off the consent agenda, both electronically by 2 p.m. Eastern Time today and submitting it in paper by 7 p.m. We have the following items on the consent agenda. These are all second readings. An ordinance amending the zoning of real estate located at Abbeville Avenue Northwest and Allison Street Northwest from general business to residential multifamily RML, multifamily low density RML. We have an ordinance to annex property located at the intersection of Abbeville Avenue Northwest and Perrin Street Northwest and to zone the same residential multifamily low-density RML. We have an ordinance to annex property located at 1411 and 1413 Silver Bluff Road and zone the same limited business LB. We have an ordinance to annex property located at 12 Janet Road and zone the same residential single-family RS15. We have an ordinance to annex property located at 219 Silver Bluff Road and to zone the same limited business LB. That is the consent agenda for this evening.
Thank you. Is there a motion for this, please?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Councilwoman Price made the
I'll
motion,
second, Madam Mayor.
and Councilwoman Broll seconded. Any comments from the public? Oh, sorry. No, not tonight. Since the consent agenda does not have comment, we'll go straight to a vote. All those in favor, please. It's unanimous. Thank you. Oh, pass along. We now have approval and discussion of appointees to various city boards, committees, and commissions. Mr. Beedenbow.
Thank you. You have the following individuals for consideration for reappointment. Scotty Myrick to the Community Development Committee and Charles Matthews to the Planning Commission.
Is there a motion to accept these nominations?
I so move, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Broll made the motion.
I second.
Second from Councilwoman Diggs. Comments from the public? Comments from council? All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Are there any nominations to consider at our next meeting? Yes, sir.
I do, Madam Mayor. I would like to reappoint John McMichaels to the Design Review Board, please.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to appoint Elijah Alford, lives on Cox Avenue, to the Parks and Recreation Committee, and I've sent a copy of that resume to Jessica to have her to review that as well. He's another 27-year-old that's coming on board. We're happy for that.
Yes, thank you. I have a couple of reappointments to make, and I'm sure someone's out there wondering. I did run this by Pete, who's replacing me, and he'll get to vote on this on the next meeting. However, we're reappointing John Carmen to our E&E committee, and also, and I've lost my place there, there's John, and Doug Kusick to the Aviation Commission.
Thank you. The next item under old business is did I miss? Thank you. Is second reading and public hearing of an ordinance to annex 38.9 acres located on Edgefield Highway, Williams Lane, and Union Church Lane, zone it planned residential, and approval of a concept plan. Mr. Beedenbow.
Thank you. It's an ordinance to annex property located on Edgefield Highway, Williams Lane, Union Church Lane, and zone the same plan residential PR and approve the concept plan. We have this project in front of you today. Since it is greater than, since it is a larger tract, it's 38.9 acres, and it wants to come into the city, it requires a concept plan, and zoning is planned residential since it is primarily residential. It is, the density is approximately 3.37 lots per acre, with lot sizes ranging from 47 feet wide to 67 feet wide, with minimum square footage of homes to be plus or minus 1,500 square feet. Exterior building material will consist of fiber cement siding or vinyl siding with vinyl and or shake trim and stone or brick accents for all buildings. It will include 7 acres of common open space, 20-foot perimeter buffer. A parking lot has been provided for clustered mailboxes. Emergency access would be via Union's Church Lane near lots 49, 50, and 132. Amenities include a walking trail and a dog park, which will be maintained by the development's HOA. It will have sewer and water, and street lighting. Common ground features will be owned and maintained by the HOA. On-site stormwater management ponds. One thing that the developer asked that council did not address in the form of a motion was a waiver on from section 4.2.6.E.2 requiring 20-foot separation between multi-story buildings. This is to reduce separation between multi-story buildings to 15 feet. I know Mr. Hanna was nice enough to do some research. We provided to Mr. Hanna and to council electronically, and you have a paper copy at your place now, where we contacted Charleston County, Greenville County, City of Columbia, City of Florence, City of Rock Hill, City of North Augusta, Horry County, Spartanburg County, City of West Columbia, Town of Mount Pleasant, to get comparable information for this. So again, council will need, if they desire, to address and affirm the applicant's request, and a motion to amend will need to be made at some point prior to moving on from this item. The Planning Commission at their October 14th meeting, all those present recommended it be annexed in zone PR, and that the concept plan be approved with the conditions read into the record at the last meeting. It was approved by City Council on first reading October 27th. It's before you for second reading this evening.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilman Girardeau made the motion, and a second from
Second, Madam Mayor.
Councilwoman Price. Any comments from the public?
Good evening, Council. My name is Peter Messina, 1005 Anderson Mill Road in Aiken. I'm here to object to the request for a variance for building setback on the proposed development before you. The planning board strongly objected to that variance, and they wanted to make sure it was clear in the condition of approval that that variance was not acceptable to the Planning Commission. The reasons, there's several reasons. One of the main reasons that I'm looking at is the planning concept. When you have, the planning concept is called latent air. When you have two buildings that are so close together at 15 feet, picture between Gail and Andrea, a 30-foot high wall between the two. You can barely get a car sideways. That's all you have between buildings when you only have 15 feet, 7.5 feet on each side. That area also includes HVAC units, gas meters, hot water meters on the outside. It has to be swaled. You have between the two buildings, it comes down into a swale to get the water from that area. Very small area to put any landscaping, and it's going to be all in shade, so it's very difficult to plant anything. It does not give privacy to people. The joke is you're in your bedroom, you got to crawl to your dresser to get dressed before you can stand up in front of a window when you have homes that close. So that's the planning reason I really feel this variance is not warranted. The second is basically your fire marshal. I mean, your fire marshal, in the recommendation from the Planning Commission, the fire marshal came out, and as he does on all these applications, it does not help the fire department, it does not help fire safety by having buildings this close. Even if you have cementous board and whatever, fire can jump, windows explode, and the fire goes in the windows. When you really see a house on fire, there's no windows, so you can't put cementous board over the windows. We've all seen the horror stories of the LA fires and the Maui fires. Fire spreads like crazy, and you're not helping matters by having buildings only 15 feet apart. The one thing that I think we should stress is that the only reason the developer is looking to do this is not to make them more affordable. That's not going to change anything. These are market-driven homes. It just allows them to get more homes in there. And the more homes he has in there, it causes a stress on the neighbors. Every home generates around 10 cars per home on a daily basis. So you put 5 more homes in there than you could have had if the buildings were a little farther away. That's 50 cars you're taking off the road. And I think that's extremely important. Also, for the future residents, I'm always, in my background, I'm serving on city government, I'm always looking at the future. When I'm looking at a development, I'm not looking at the developer, I'm looking at the future residents. And we're going to straddle these future residents with having neighbors very close, having no open space between the homes. And I think that's a sad story that we have to give these future residents this type of development to live in. But also, I said the future residents, but also the existing residents. The existing residents came out against this project in terms of the traffic it would generate. And I think that's something if we could eliminate that, alleviate that by a few homes less in the project, I think that would go a long way. Again, I thank you and I implore you not to approve this variance. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Hanna.
And while he's coming up, if you could, Ms. Moultrie, if you could explain, the Planning Commission voted to approve this concept plan with the conditions listed, but they did not necessarily vote. This was requested, this waiver, by the developer, but it was not voted in as part of the conditions to grant the waiver. They just heard it but ultimately chose to approve this without including the waiver.
That's correct. So the condition is that they comply with our existing building separation.
Which is the default condition we do whenever a development like this comes forward. We just assume that what is written in the zoning ordinance they're going to comply with, and it's up to the developer or applicant to ask for a waiver. Planning can then either say, yes, we'll put the waiver and make it part of the conditions, or they would say, we're not going to put this in the conditions.
Correct. So to comply with, because they were discussing, or they're proposing story and a half, it's treated as 2-story as far as the zoning ordinance is concerned, so that would be 20 feet between buildings. That's our minimum standards. 2-story and story and a half are treated as 2-story, just for clarity.
Can I ask a question? Just for clarification, so this topic was discussed at the planning meeting where the vote took place?
That's correct. And so it remained in the condition, even though they're asking for a waiver, is that they would comply with.
Because it just shows, that the commission voted 6-0, Commissioner Reynolds absent to the first 9 conditions. And so now, why wasn't that added or negated with planning?
If I may, condition number 1 in that ordinance is that
They comply.
that the subdivision comply with the minimum building separation standards of the zoning ordinance per the building inspector and fire marshal recommendation.
Right, so that's what they voted on and recommended, was that they comply.
So planning wants them to comply?
Correct.
With the 20 feet after they discussed it at length?
Correct.
Madam Mayor, the question has been asked of me, has this ever been done? Have we ever approved any homes with a 15 feet separation?
Yes, we have.
And whether a precedent has been established with, so it depends on the location or,
Honestly, it depends on the council. Just because
oh,
depend on the-
okay. So,
Well, I think as far as precedent being established, I mean, real estate is widely considered in the law to be a very different animal, and each parcel of real estate is different from each other parcel of real estate. So each of them, they all have their own characteristics. I don't remember, excuse me, city council being briefed on what other jurisdictions were doing with respect to the setback requirements and that sort of thing. So that is new information, I believe, the council is receiving as part of this application. But in terms of being bound by other previous decisions, I don't believe that's anything that's legally binding upon city council.
well, with what was handed out to us here, they're given examples of Charleston, Greenville, City of Columbia, City of Florence, Rock Hill, and North Augusta in terms of the minimum building separation. And it seems like Charleston has 10 feet. Greenville is not mentioned in their zoning ordinance. Greenville, Columbia, or Florence, or Rock Hill, or North Augusta.
And I do want to state something, because we presented the
Excuse me.
information to you, I do want to say that I'm not advocating for this.
Yeah.
So like, for example, North Augusta says between 5 to 8 feet. I mean, what does that mean?
So we have two things. We have the actual setback to the side setback, which is what the
Okay.
information you're seeing.
That's the first
Right.
column here.
And then we also have, we in our zoning ordinance also have minimums, which would be, if you're a single story, you can only be 15 feet to the other structure. And typically, that's only going to come into play when we have a planned residential, because our zoning ordinance allows the flexibility. So what you're seeing is that comparison. Again, I will say, just because we pulled the information together, I don't want it to be construed as I am advocating for closer
Right.
setbacks. I just know it has been questioned, it has come up quite a bit, so I wanted to make sure you're all well informed about what we do compared to other municipalities.
Locations, yes.
Yes.
And with the side yard setback, it looks like Charleston has a 5 feet to 15 feet, Greenville 5 feet to 25 feet, City of Columbia 5 feet to 10 feet, Florence 5 feet to 20 feet, Rock Hill 5 feet to 30 feet, and North Augusta 5 feet to 8 feet. So as stated, it depends on the council and possibly the location as well, so.
and I'm not aware, but what was planning's, because here we also have this, which shows the same cities, Councilwoman Price just mentioned, the minimums are all between 8 and 10 feet. And that's the same Charleston County, Greenville, Columbia, North Augusta, Horry, Spartanburg, West Columbia, and Mount Pleasant. And then it shows us, that's the visual we have, guys, by the way, at 20 feet. So I guess my question is, I mean, I like to do and take plannings, obviously they're a planning commission, so they're there for a purpose. And so I guess I'd like to hear a little bit as to, why they are stuck on 20. Yeah, I mean, I understand that they were at, Kurt, you asked for the variance at planning or the amendment at planning, and planning wouldn't give it to you, and they voted 6-0 to maintain the 20-foot requirement. So I guess I'd like to understand that a little bit better.
Speak to that,
Thank you.
absolutely. So historically speaking, when you go back to the planning minutes, when 15 feet or less actually has been approved, planning has traditionally always sent it through like that. Planning has always voted in favor of it and still suggests that they abide by the 20 feet. And council has given the waiver. Planning doesn't, I don't even think planning has the ability to allow the waiver. So I don't, now y'all may be able to speak on that, whether or not that's even possible, but I don't know that planning has the authority to give waivers. Council, I think, has to give
Planning
a waiver.
Commission is a recommending body. They can
Right.
recommend a waiver.
They could recommend a waiver. Okay, so they can. Historically, though, when you go back to the minutes, they have not. But then it's come to council, and council has given the 15 feet. So I think there's a lot going on here. Okay, first of all, again, our fire marshals do suggest the 20 feet. I mean, that's what they've asked for in the, in our codes. But it's important to recognize that if a community does not require 20 feet, then it falls to state regulations. The state regulation is 10 feet. Okay, so that is what our state building code is. And aside from special use areas such as coastal areas where they're trying to protect, coastal growth and things of that nature throughout our state, you typically are seeing 10 feet. And so I didn't want to be irresponsible and ask for something that is widely known that you should keep 20 feet between the homes. The issue I found in my research is that's just not the case. We are more stringent on this particular issue, and I think it's very important, very, very important that we establish the difference between preference and decisions made based off of data. Our preference, for instance, anytime we say, well, there's not privacy, or we don't, for future residents, that's a preference. If someone wants to buy a home in a community where homes are that close together, they see it. And if they don't want to live there, they don't have to buy homes. So that's a preference. It's important that we understand what is an anti-development policy. Not just this, but any other policy. And in my opinion, this is my opinion, but it is an educated opinion, because I've done the research, I truly believe this is an anti-development policy. So if we want to encourage development, and if we want to meet the need of 4,400 homes that we have to have in the county of Aiken in the next 5 years to meet our current expected growth, as our current housing study says, we need to be pro-growth, pro-development. Now, I'm not saying let's throw out safety. No, I want us to be safe. But again, when you go to the building code standards, it's safe. If it weren't deemed safe, then the state building codes would not allow it. We are, and I have talked to our developer about trying to shore up the openings in the homes where the soffits are, or eliminating soffits, or eliminating windows. They're open to all of those things, because when we see the fire spread, it's going to spread through soffits and it's going to spread through windows. That's where it happens. And so we're open to have those conversations with and are having them on some other developments with the building inspector and fire marshal. So I understand the concern, the greatest concern, and the number one thing that gives this legitimacy is our fire marshal, right? And that is stated, but again, the data says that it is safe to have them 10 feet apart. And that's state code, and all I'm asking is 5 feet more than state code requires. And I get it. Like, people like to paint developers as money hungry, greedy developers. That's not it. It is like, these are. It makes the neighborhoods walkable and enjoyable, and I do not believe it's fair to allow the village at Woodside to have their homes closer than 20 feet, and they are. And it's not fair to have, North Augusta with an amazing walkable neighborhood where they're like this. I got pictures just past weekend. It is not fair to have these incredibly beautiful, expensive homes that are 5 feet apart, that are 8 feet apart, and yet when we go over to the north side, suddenly we want to say, oh, they got to be 20 feet apart. It is not fair. We want our neighborhoods walkable. We want our neighborhoods where people can enjoy them, and neighborhoods that are densely populated with homes closer together are historically more walkable, they're more safe, and they hold value more. And that's all I'm asking for, y'all.
If you could speak into the mic again for your name so we can capture it for the record.
Laura Momont, 11 Brookline, Hounds Lake. I grew up here. So I want to talk about what's fair. I grew up here when we were able to drive on Whiskey Road safely. I grew up here when it was rare to have a car accident. I grew up here when we had enough houses balanced with employers. And so I'm kind of wondering, where are all these people going to work? I'm looking at all of the new developments that are coming and being built, and I'm not anti-growth, but what I am, I'm pro-smart growth. I also spent 30 years living in California that was highly walkable. We were all smushed close in together. Why? They didn't plan for homes that had grace, spaciousness, that Aiken is known for. When you look at all of the beautiful pictures of Aiken, we're not looking at highly dense, walkable areas. I want to keep Aiken balanced with the infrastructure and smart growth. I'm not saying no growth and anti-growth, but I'm concerned, where are the people going to live? Right now, we do have an issue with our water and our water lines being very old, and we need to start investing in infrastructure. I'm not against developers making money, but I cringe at the thought of taking Aiken from what it has historically been, and we turned it into California, or we turned it into Charleston, we turned it into Augusta, North Augusta. If that's the desire for someone to have high impact, high density development, develop over there. Develop over there. Think very carefully about what we're approving for Aiken and balance it with smart growth, with our infrastructure, and then places for people to work. We need to have more places for people to work before we build and build and build. And then what's going to happen? Where are these people going to work? And walkability, I don't know. I'm thinking, I don't want to see it like California, I promise you that. I don't want to see what's happened to Charleston happen here. Just give it some thought. Maybe put a pin in it. If you guys can't think of a way to approach what the developer's asking for and what the people who live here are asking for. My thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Don Moniak. I live off of Highway 19. At the last meeting, quite a few people brought up the issue of traffic. At the Planning Commission meeting, even more people brought up the issue of traffic. Highway 19 is an increasingly busy road. It's a mile and a half from the junction of Lawrence, Rutland, University Parkway, and Highway 19, Edgefield Highway, to Croft Mill Road. So this council should recommend to DOT, you can just have a resolution recommending to DOT that speed limit be lowered to 45, from 45 to 35. And the reason is you can have not just this subdivision, but River Crossing and Portrait Hills, two of which have exit and entrances on curves on that road. It's going to be very dangerous at times to be trying to get in and out of those subdivisions. It's likely that Williams Lane may have a traffic light put in there one of these days. It's only 3/10 of a mile from Croft Mill Road. There's already turn lanes there that the county and DOT required. Another point I'd like to make is that because this is going to be annexed, then River Crossing, which is to the north, directly to the north, will also be annexed. And at the Planning Commission meeting, there was a question asked about that, and there was no answer given. The people who live in River Crossing should be informed that they're going to be annexed, which may be something they want to have done, but they should have been informed that that was the case. And then the fourth point I'd like to make is that this is an interesting annexation because it's actually in an island. In 2003, City Council annexed 70 acres, which is now Portrait Hills and Grand Oaks. And they weren't connected. They were connected by 2,100 feet of right-of-way. And it's still not connected even though the county building's been annexed since that time. So it's an interesting fact that this is not contiguous from one end to the other. And you may recall that when you had that with Generations Park, that had to be repealed. For some reason, this one didn't have to be. But it was done in 2003, so it's long done. I don't think anything's going to change, but it's just something it's just an interesting fact. And as far as that 20-foot being an anti-development statute, there's been plenty of development in this town that acknowledged 20-foot was okay. The most recent being the York Street and May Royal Drive subdivision. They went 20 feet, and quite a few others have too. So other developers have lived with it. Whether it's fair or not is another question, but it's not anti-development. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Chief.
Good evening, Council.
Thank you.
Charles Branco, honored to be here. I just want to make sure there's some clear information. This is in our zoning ordinance, and building separation is dictated at 15 feet for single story and 20 feet for two-story. Also, I've had this talk with Kurt and with Maria recently that there's a difference between setback and building separation. So a lot of jurisdictions have building separation of, 15 feet. Well, that actually means a setback of 7.5 feet from the property line. So when you think about it in those terms, it's not really as far as you think it is. I just want to make sure council has all the accurate information about what's been discussed. Y'all do know our opinion on that, but the building code is minimum requirements. It's not what Aiken standard has been through the zoning ordinance. So I just wanted to make sure the setback and building separation was explained.
I just want to be clear in terms of the voting coming up. Based on your statement, a two-story unit should be 20 feet apart.
20 feet apart, 10 on each side from the property line. Or because here, and we have it, a building separation in our code, and so that's sometimes not fair. If they build 7.5 feet from the property line, that other person has to be further away from their property line. So, and we've talked about that in our future, how we look at building separation from the property line. But yes, so some of these numbers that I looked at that was sent is building separation, and
Right.
some of them is setback.
So technically,
Difference.
each unit has its 10 feet, but the other neighboring property has their 10 feet as well, so it makes it 20 feet.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's for a two-story. That's the requirement.
2 stories, yeah.
It's only 7.5 for a single story. So you see the difference
yes,
there?
sir.
I just wanted to make sure that was clear for council as you make your deliberations. Thank you.
Comments from council?
Whew, that was a lot. All right, I'll go first. This is something that's pretty interesting. This probably doesn't happen all the time. I've agreed with Don Montiac before, but I pretty much agree 100% with every point that he brought up. We brought this up last time, 2 weeks ago, that the speed limit needed to be reduced. I don't think that'll be a problem. I've been out there on Highway 19 enough to know that that's probably a good idea. And of course, DOT will have to decide that. The traffic light's a little bit different, DOT and traffic report, and they're going to do a traffic study, so we'll have a better idea on that. Making it 4 lanes, or at least doing 3 lanes like we did on Silver Bluff, or DOT approved it, whoever was the guiding hand, that helped out an awful lot. That'd be a great idea to do it out there. It just gets cars out of the middle of the road so they can turn reasonably fast. So that's an issue in and of itself. And then we get to the setbacks. I don't really have a lot of heartburn over 15 feet to 20 feet. It's in the ordinance, but the ordinance is written in a way that we get down to this, where it's sent to city council, and planning's supposed to be the experts that sends it to us with a recommendation. If it's going to be 15 feet, it needs to be changed, and that's what we're doing in the zoning. The PR needs to change, and Pete and I have talked about that. We're in agreement. Also, I'm in total agreement. The city does not need to kowtow to what the county is doing, and what the county's doing is they allow all of this. It's going crazy, and we hear about growth that's haphazard and going here and there. That's happening in the county. It hasn't happened in the city, though it may appear that way. I mean, the facts are that that's really not occurring to too much of a degree. And this is the experience of 8 years. 8 years ago, I came in thinking we want to annex everything we can annex to the north and the east and bring them into the city, that would be good, and we make them follow our regulations. As time has gone on, I'm not sure our regulations are all that much more prevalent than the county, because we've ended up allowing things. PR was written in 2002. It replaced the PUD designation of things like Woodside, Camia Landing. All of those became PRs at that point. They were already there. PR was written at the time for some of the smart grow era that was occurring. What happened was it made it available. They could turn things down fairly easily. It didn't always happen quite as easily. I won't get into all of that. But the truth of the matter is PR is written so that you can turn it down for just about any reason. You can also accept it for just about any reason. And we've sort of come to that because there is a precedent. We have approved some 15-footers in some of the subdivisions, and some of them, as Don pointed out, we didn't do it. They probably didn't ask for it, I would imagine. So it is a little bit of a sticky wicket, and that's where going forward, I know that Pete and I have talked about it, and Pete wants to change the PR to maybe even not have PR. I think that's probably a good idea going forward, and come up with numbers that we're consistent with, and we don't have this situation where planning comes and tells us what to do, what they think we should do, and then we have to debate it like we're debating right now. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of my thoughts on the matter. I do recognize that all these cities, there were cities on the back too, Leslie, that you didn't necessarily get to. Horry County, Spartanburg County, City of West Columbia, Town of Mount Pleasant. Great. They pretty much all seem to be 10 feet. We're talking 15 feet. Mm-hmm. Again, we're the city of Aiken. We need to make up our minds what we want to do. I agree with the speaker who said we don't have to go back there. I grew up here too. I think everybody knows that at this point. It's a different world we live in. That doesn't make it better. But at the same time, we can have restrictions on the city that are much tougher than what's in the county, and we can get there. However, you do face the fact, just like the hotel that's out on Whiskey Road, Country Inn Suites, in 2002, they decided the city of Aiken, it was asked to annexation, wanted water and sewer. It was not granted to that hotel. Mm-hmm. City said it wasn't necessary. We don't need that hotel there. Well, they went and got water from College Acres, and they got sewer from New Wellington, and there it sits, and everything's fine. Turned out fine. It's a nice place to go. However, it didn't work the way the city thought that they were doing at the time. And like in 2003, we none of us had anything to do with that at that time. I guess, Leslie, you were probably.
Bonzi Patel had the hotel.
Yeah. No, well, you were there for the hotel, but 2003 on the subdivision, which is Portrait Hills, that was a different council. You would have participated in that one. That was approved 2007, if I remember correctly, as a G6. And I realized that after they started building it. We didn't have anything, any say-so in that. And that was already approved. Sort of like but yeah, that's the backside of Grand Oaks. Mm-hmm. I don't know about, Mr. Moniak pointed out, whether it was contiguous, it is, or whatever it is at this particular point in time. I don't know, but he's right. That's water under the bridge, and it is what it is. That's kind of interesting. I wasn't aware of anything there, not 100% sure. But I have no problem, but that's why we need to change the zoning, and the zoning particularly for PR, PC2, and I think Pete and I agree on that. That needs to both be changed. Some of the other zoning, I do this for my living, and I still don't understand how zoning got to be what it is in Aiken. It's like, holy cow, how'd it get like this? And we don't know. There's really not much history on it. So is what it is. We work through it and we do the best we can. But anyway, that's my 2 cents worth on this. Again, I'm not against 15 feet, but at the same time, it's up to us to vote on it. I yield the floor. Is that a proper thing to say?
Madam Mayor, may I complete my comments? Mr. Moniak is correct in his statement. At a previous council meeting, we discussed the Highway 19. If you're headed south, it's going to be tough to make a turn to come into the downtown area on that highway at the speed that the traffic flows with pedestrians traveling that road, and the safety as well. As you've stated, is very curvy, and you don't know what's coming around that curve. In addition to that, there are students walking along that highway. And so there are many safety reasons that we have to be conscious of. Reducing the speed limit is one, traffic light is another, but the DOT must get involved in terms of making some recommendations as well. I become concerned, and I'm going to address Ms. Laura's comment regarding growth. And I'm hearing constantly here from individuals, as Aiken needs to stop growth. We don't need to grow anymore. And I find it interesting, here it is, when you look at the development on the north, east, northwest, just the north side period. When the growth begins, now individual wants to stop growing. When finally, after almost 40 years, we see some changes in the north side growth. And I don't mind addressing it publicly and frankly. I have a problem with that. Now we're saying all these problems, we're bringing up all these problems, and we want to stop growth. When I first ran for political office, my theme was preservation and progress can go hand in hand. And we can preserve, we can protect, but we can also grow. But there must be a planned growth for our city. It cannot just happen arbitrarily. And I hear from people all the time, Leslie, do you all have a check sheet when a developer come into your city and they tell you that they've acquired a certain piece of land? Are you consistently bringing up the same things, having the people in the room so that everybody is exposed to the same sort of questions constantly? My response was, well, the development may be different, but nevertheless, there are some primary things that we should have on that check sheet that every developer should hear from us, and it should be a check off, and whatever comes from next. But we have got a main check sheet to know that the key things that we hear constantly from the developers is consistent. And the other thing that I hear, and I'm going to come clean with you right now, I'm hearing, Leslie, why is the taxpayers paying so much when there is a development? What are you all doing in terms of working together with the developer and let he or she, contractor, meet its obligation to the city, and the taxpayer will bear thereon? These questions, you all, are evolving more and more in terms of budgets, the city budget, the economic giveaways that the city is doing, those kinds of things. That is what's occurring right now. People are looking into things more strategically and seriously, much differently than they did 15, 20 years ago. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for speaking. I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
What are we voting on?
So
Right.
we need to first, I guess, I will ask the parliamentarian for my information. Do the issue of the request for the waiver, how does that need to be addressed?
The motion that is before council is to accept the ordinance as it is written.
Without the waiver.
Not allow a waiver.
Motion. We need to make a
Madam
motion.
Mayor,
If council is inclined to make the waiver to a 15-foot setback instead of a 20-foot setback, then you would want to amend the first condition of the ordinance to allow a 15-foot setback instead of the 20-foot setback that is mandated by the zoning ordinance. Does Mario agree with that?
So tell me how to do that.
Who made the motion?
Well, I made the motion. Does it have to come from me to make the waiver, or can someone else ask for it?
Someone else can ask for it.
Okay.
Someone else can ask for it.
Madam Mayor, if I may, I will make that motion. I agree with everything that's been said here tonight, and until we update our zoning, we have at Village at Woodside, this does not fit. Downtown, this does not fit. So we cannot keep just deciding willy-nilly how this is going to be.
Right.
And I agree with Councilwoman Price and others up here. We have worked so long to have development on the north side. This council has spent a lot of time. And now we're starting to see that. So let's not stifle this over this here, because when you look at what we've heard, Florence, which is a city about our size, doesn't have anything like that. So I don't think any of us on this council wants to pave paradise and put up a parking lot. But I also want to see the north side flourish just like all parts of the city. So I am for amending it to grant this.
Thank you.
So would there be a second to Ms. Broll's motion?
I'll second it.
Could we have a second?
Councilwoman Gregory, second. And who made the motion?
I made the motion, so
He made
now,
the original motion to accept the ordinance as is.
All right.
Councilman Broll
Ms.
amended.
Broll has now said to accept the ordinance as is with an amendment to the first condition to allow a 15-foot setback instead of a 20-foot setback.
So that enables us to vote now
Yes, ma'am.
with that.
Yeah, we've set a
Yes.
precedent.
We have a motion by Ms. Broll and a second by Ms. Gregory.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Giardo, do you withdraw your motion?
I withdraw my motion to add the waiver. Is that what
You're
we?
just withdrawing your motion, period.
Okay,
We'll go on Ms. Broll's motion.
okay, all right. I withdraw my motion.
Thank you. Do I need to go to comments from the?
Councilman Waltz has a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So we're putting in the setback because they asked for approval of the whole concept plan. We're adding in specifically that setback?
You're adding a waiver to the zoning ordinance that would allow a 15-foot setback instead of a 20-foot setback, if you agree with the motion.
Not to the zoning ordinance, but to this ordinance.
Just for this.
No, zoning ordinance,
Particular.
the zoning ordinance requires a 20-foot setback. This is a waiver of the zoning ordinance requirement for 20 feet.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
And that's a one-time thing just for this subdivision?
That's correct.
Correct, okay.
I just want to add that, just because Mr. Wilt, Councilman Wilt said it was a one-time thing, but we have set a precedent. So to Councilman's Gerardo's point, we got to fix that, and so council people out there in the audience, that's a task we've been trying to get our hands around and wrap our hands around, and it's still a work in process, and it's something that needs to change because it needs to be consistent, because we can't picky and choosy who we want to give these
15, 20.
these setbacks to, oh, well, this developer, yeah, let's give it to them, and oh, that, no, not to them, and it just makes no sense, and it's not appropriate. So on those grounds, I will support.
I did make a quick clarification. This is a 15-foot building separation.
Yes.
Not a setback.
Yes.
Correct, my apologies, yes.
Per item number 1 on the conditions, which is what it states.
7.5 on each side.
And Mari, I'm glad you corrected that, because those two are keywords: building separation.
Right.
I was waiting for Councilwoman Diggs to come back.
Are you calling for the vote?
Where'd she go?
But if she doesn't,
We lost one.
She made the motion? Who made the motion?
No, I made the motion, so,
Okay, and who seconded? Okay.
I amended.
no, you first and second, yeah.
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 We're waiting on Gail, I guess.
Guess you couldn't wait. The second, it's gonna come again here, the second one. Can we go ahead and call the question and vote? Gary. What? Okay, that's fine. She's gonna vote for it. But that's why we need to change it, like Andrea said. We've been saying it for a while now, and believe me, Pete's gonna go full bore on that. So. Yeah, I don't think 20 feet's some kind of magic number.
Okay, sorry. All those in favor?
All those in favor, should call.
Yes. Well, I was going to wait for Councilwoman Diggs, but go ahead. Yeah, all those in favor? Okay. It's 6 to 1 with one person not voting.
No, 6-0.
6-0 with one council member out of the room.
That's right.
So
Thank you.
it's 6-0. Councilwoman Diggs
Not
was out of the room. And that's 6-0 in favor of second reading of the ordinance with the amendment to have a waiver requiring the separation between the multi-story buildings.
Thank you. Next is second reading and public hearing of an ordinance to annex 72.05 acres located at Athol Avenue, Powderhouse Connector, and South Centennial Avenue to zone it general business and plan residential and approve the concept plan. Mr. Biedenbaugh.
Thank you. This is an ordinance to annex property located at Athol Avenue, the proposed Powderhouse Connector, and South Centennial Avenue, and to zone the same general business GB and plan residential PR and approve the concept plan. This is approximately 72.05 acres off of what is now known as Tribute Parkway, and approximately 8.9 would be zoned general business, approximately 63.15 would be zoned planned residential. The proposed general business zoning is consistent with the planned commercial zoning of the pending Summerall development, and the proposed planned residential zoning and concept plan is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The concept plan proposes 118 single-family subdivision lots in the eastern and southern portions of the development, with 30 paired single-family residential units along the western boundary. Front-facing garages are shown for the dwelling units. The single-family attached units do not appear to comply with the zoning ordinance 4.2.9 for the maximum number of front-facing garages, and waivers have been requested, and they were granted. It does have open space compliance with the minimum requirement. Like the previous application we heard, there was a request for a waiver in that they have several 1.5-story structures that would need to be 20 feet separation. They are requesting a waiver for 15 feet. No motion was made to grant the waiver at first reading, similar to the prior project we just discussed. So if council wishes to grant this request from the applicant, an amendment to the required building separation, condition number 3 in this would need to be amended in a fashion similar to what we did on the prior item. No, it was the applicant requested the separation. The planning commission is recommending to council that the required building separations be met per the building inspector and fire marshal. So we do need a waiver. They are requesting a waiver on the 1.5-story structures here to 15 feet. Those present at the Planning Commission unanimously approved this at their October 14th meeting. Council heard this at first reading on October the 27th, and it is before you for second reading this evening.
Thank you. Is there a motion to?
Motion. So moved.
Councilman Girardeau made the motion, and a second.
Second, Mayor.
Second from Councilwoman Gregory.
And this is a motion and a second on the ordinance that is in the packet without the waiver.
Did we discuss the waiver, the first vote?
I don't believe it was discussed in great detail at the first vote, no. It was, I think, I know it was mentioned in my comments, but it was not, I don't believe, discussed.
I don't believe
council.
It's sort of like the
It has
last one.
been, it has been here since it came from planning.
I propose we move ahead and we have discussion.
All right, comments from the public? Any comments from council?
I guess we're back to talking about the waiver. The developers here, y'all want to discuss what we just went through on the last one?
We didn't discuss this at all in the first vote.
No, we didn't discuss it in the other subdivision either. So,
Where is it here?
Madam Mayor, council members, I'm Joel Presley. We withdrew our request for the waiver at Planning Commission.
okay.
So hopefully that.
I'm sorry?
That clears it up, yeah.
We withdrew our request for the waiver at Planning Commission. And so, if I'm not mistaken, Planning Commission's recommendations to you, I apologize, I had this. Here we go. I think the staff memo, possible conditions included that the requested waivers are granted to the garage-facing standards.
And that is part of the ordinance, and that
Yes.
waiver was recommended as granted by the Planning Commission to the council.
Right. And the others were the landscaping entrance median depth at 150 feet instead of 200 feet. And that the required building separations are met per the fire marshal's recommendation in the ordinance. So, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Presley.
So it's before you. The waiver was withdrawn. It was discussed at planning, but they have agreed to abide by the zoning ordinance and the appropriate separation of 20 feet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Any more comments from council? All those in favor?
It's unanimous.
All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Yeah.
All right, that was, again, 6-1. I opposed because of the location. Lovely project. Next is second reading and public hearing of an ordinance to authorize execution of a modified lease agreement and fixed base operator agreement with Aiken Aviation Enterprises Incorporated for the Aiken Regional Airport. Mr. Biedenbow.
This is an ordinance authorizing the modification of lease terms to Aiken Aviation Enterprises for the premises known as the Aiken Regional Airport. This does clean up the leased area. If you look at the diagram on the screen, the blue adds approximately about 1 1/3 acres, 1 1/4 acres, I should say, to the leased area for the fixed base operator. This will enable, just with some cleanup, appropriate operational boundaries for the fixed base operator. The city is contracted with Aiken Aviation Enterprises. We did a lease renewal about 5 years ago. And I know there's a lot of interest in additional hangars out at the airport. This also makes an appropriate notice and qualifications to the fuel As you know, the time around the Masters, we have a special events fee. We cleaned up some of the language there about the timing of it. I think typically we didn't anticipate that a pandemic would move the Masters tournament. So instead of being specific with month, I think we noted just around the Masters tournament, we'd have a special events fee. This does require ordinance approval by the council. The General Aviation Commission recommends this, and this is before you for second reading this evening.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve this?
I so move, Madam Mayor.
Councilwoman Brohl,
Second, Madam Mayor.
and
Price.
second from Councilwoman Price. Any comments from the public? Any comments from council? All those in favor? Thank you. It's unanimous. Next is second reading and public hearing of an ordinance for budget adjustments for public services, HVAC replacement, mosquito truck replacement, and purchase of the parking lot adjacent to the Center for African American History, or NK.
This is an ordinance amending the budget of the City of Aiken for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30, 2026 for the General Fund, Solid Waste Fund, and Franchise Fee Fund. We do have an update for replacement of our mosquito truck, also to allow for the purchase of property directly adjacent to the Center for African American History, Art, and Culture, the two parcels that make up the parking space. You'll consider later in the meeting a resolution to purchase the property. I think most people believe the city owns the lot already, but we've had it under lease from First Baptist since 2011. So the budget ordinance will allow HVAC replacement at our public services building on DuPont Drive. The building was built in 1975. And mosquito truck replacement, and to allow for the purchase of property. And this is before you for second reading.
Mayor, I'm going to have to recuse myself, as my partner was involved in the development of the values for First Baptist.
Okay. Thank you for doing that.
Motion made for approval, Madam Mayor.
You made the motion? Makes a motion, and a second from
I second.
Councilwoman Diggs. Any comments from the public? Comments from council? All those in,
It just makes sense because our African American Museum is being used more and more and more, and for us not to own that parking lot is not a wise decision. I think this just makes sense.
thank you.
The parking lot on the side of the building that extends toward the back, and do we have any ownership in?
Next to Wesley Methodist?
Yes.
Yes, correct. First, yes, the parking lot we are purchasing is to the due north, and it is the black-topped parking lot or asphalt parking lot that runs from York to Fairfield. You're asking about the pavered lot, which is to the east of the Cultural Center, I guess the northeast, next to Founders Park. And we own, the way it's platted, the city owns roughly half of it, and roughly half of it is owned by Wesley United Methodist Church.
I didn't know that. Thank you. So, any other comments? All those in favor? Thank you. It's unanimous, except for Councilman Girardeau, who recused himself because of his partner. The last item under old, should we go get him?
Yes,
Okay. The last item under old business is second reading and public hearing of an ordinance approving certain economic development incentives for residential development to be developed by Van Rock Holdings and commercial development to be developed by VP Riverside LLC. Mr. Beanbo.
Thank you. It is an ordinance authorizing certain economic development incentives pursuant to the Aiken Code of Ordinances for a project developed by VP Riverside LLC, Rutland Place, approving an economic development inducement and incentive agreement and other matters related thereto. There's been a lot of discussion. I know at the last meeting there was a lot of back and forth about appropriate numbers. There's still some disagreement on what the numbers are. And I know the city's numbers have changed quite a bit or multiple times, which is not the norm with these sort of matters. And I know the developer is interested in seeing this come through this evening. Again, there's still issue with the numbers by what the staff is presenting, and I will say this development has a residential and commercial investment total of about $74.2 million, an estimate made in good faith. We've got, I think, some disagreement about what the numbers are, and I think that we can discuss tonight kind of how to proceed, whether to approve numbers that are some set of numbers, either I guess what the city's saying or what the applicant's saying is a possibility. And I guess we need to kind of have that discussion amongst the council and amongst the staff. I'm going to ask Ms. Craig to come up first to sort of explain what the city's numbers are, and then I guess the applicant can come and explain. But I know the numbers changed some as additional information was received. But if Ms. Craig, come up to the mic, please, and yep. So this is before you for a second reading, and thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening.
We got to make a motion first.
Do I have a motion to accept this? Councilman Woltz made the motion, and a second from Councilman.
I'll second.
Girardeau. Comments from the public. Ms. Craig. Thank you.
Thank you. As you can see, there have been several different numbers. And at our last council meeting, I went over the numbers, and I went back with staff. And again, based on the information that we were provided, we stuck with the numbers that we came up with. We did not change. We talked with Mr. Glover, and based on what he gave, and based on our figures and our fees, based on the permits, again, with the commercial, there are buildings that we do not know what's going to go into those buildings. We gave an average of those buildings. The only business that's over there right now is Tractor Supply, which is the only building that has paid fees. So our staff took an average, and those fees for that commercial came out to be $3,500 for the water fees. Again, all of these are estimated fees. No monies have been taken for any fees at this time. So again, they're estimates. I think Mr. Glover is concerned about the cap, but a cap has to be put in place so that things in the future, nothing is paid until a certificate of occupancy is given, which is 12 months after that certificate of occupancy is given. So until the fees are paid, you don't know what's going to be paid for the fees. So again, these are our estimates. And so based on what he's giving and based on what the staff has come up with, this is the amount that we came up, this is what we're sticking with based on the information that we were provided.
And speak to the actual fees and the appropriate fee page, because I know there's a lot of examples, because we were asked to provide kind of a paper trail of how we got to this point. So why don't you point out the appropriate page that this is on, and then walk through the fees and explain how each number was derived.
Okay. In the beginning, when he turned in his first,
And just the final fee, where the final fee that the city is standing on.
so you want me to start with the first application or just where we are?
Just where we are at this point.
Where we are at this point. Where we are at this point is we narrowed it down to the the building permits and inspection fees based on the amount of residential, which is 245 residential, I believe they're building. And then with the commercial, with the permits and plan check fees, what we did, we combined.
This is your building permits and inspection fees for residential was $220,455.
Well, we combined, right.
And to come up with the $330,682.
Because we combined the building permit and inspection fees and the plan check fees. We combined.
So this is what's on page what you're saying is what the staff came up with is on page 264 of the agenda. You have property taxes. That's there's no rebate for that, but
No.
the permits to include plan check fees is $330,682.
And for commercial was $51,930. And then on impact fees for residential was $281,750, and for commercial, because again we do not know what is going into the buildings, we only have Tractor Supply that actually has paid their fees. So over an average, that was $30,000. And for meter, they'll be paying the water meter fees for residential, an average of $480 for meters for residential. Each for 245 meters was $100,600. And for commercial, because we do not know the actual size, so depending on the size of the meter, it was an average of $3,500. Business license fee for residential, and they're basing it on a business license fee per house, based on the type of house. I think they have single-family units, and then they have some attached townhouses. Normally, we do not pay a business license fee per house. It's based on the commercial, based on the general contractor. So if the general contractor is building all the residential, then that general contractor needs to pay for that permit. It would not be per house. But we left that amount in there of $129,850. On other properties, that business license would have been like $40, not $129,850. For the commercial, it's $33,480. That business license for the commercial per each property for that commercial, again, would be given after that CO is given after the year of the CO, that 12 months, if they are keeping that business open 5 years and beyond the anniversary date. And that would go to that business owner, like Tractor Supply. So if you look down the column of residential, you add those numbers up, that's a total of $842,882. For commercial, if you add that column up, is $118,910. So with the residential, if you divide that, multiply that by 50%, that's $421,441. For the commercial, the $118,910, you half that, that's $59,455. Over the timeline, they would divide that up over a 5-year period each. Again, normally we do not do this together. It would have been separate applications. But on the request of Mr. Glover, we put them on one application.
Yes, sir.
Satisfied with? Did I hear that right?
No, there was a disagreement on numbers. I know, and Mr. Glover or someone from the applicant can come, because I know we've got some additional numbers that I think Mr. Glover would like for consideration, or I don't want to put words in the applicant's mouth, but there is a disagreement on what the value of the various taxes and fees that are generated are. So that is kind of where the situation we're in. But again, based on this information, again, I know there was consideration to try to bring this and get this through for approval this evening. So we are bringing this forward, and I know the applicant, Mr. Glover, Mr. Johnson's got, I guess, numbers, and we can try to figure out where the best number is at this point. But this is what the staff is saying at this point in time.
So are we going to be able to resolve that, or is that something?
I think, well, again, this number is what staff's recommending to be reimbursed at 50% over a 5-year period as a look back, a rebate. But again, coming up, there are issues, I think, with the numbers. The applicant has issues with our calculations, which staff believes are the correct calculations. But we want to have, I guess, this discussion because it was impressed that we needed to bring this back for a second reading this evening without it being continued to another time.
Well, I'm thinking that it's a good idea we're talking about it, because it's hard to understand this. Sabina, this is an estimate that you've come up with. Let's talk about the commercial.
Yes, these are all estimates.
Estimates.
Nothing has been paid by.
Right. I mean, they're just vacant. They're vacant lots. I understand that, and that's again. So, let's just say, for the sake of the story, it's the amount of money they spend is less on the next lot that would reduce the amount of money we would have to pay, correct?
I'm sorry.
We're doing a reimbursement, if I understand this correctly. So if the next building's smaller than Tractor Supply, then we would have less money that we had to pay as a reimbursement, correct?
Right, it's based on the size of the building and what will actually go there. So if it was a laundromat that would go there that would be using a lot of water, or hairdresser, or, or a restaurant. So all that comes into play.
Right, but it could be less than what we're basing the estimates. So
Right, or the
we
size.
wouldn't just give them the money that we estimated. It'd be less, is
Right.
what I'm getting to.
It is based on actual receipts, but remember, these are good faith estimates that are presented.
So will that change? We're making an estimate now. The numbers would change somewhere in the future, correct? If it's more, it's more. If it's less, it's less.
Yes.
We're in agreement on that?
Sounds like the issue is the calculation.
Well, if the calculation is...
So it would change.
Yeah.
To your point, but
Right.
it's somehow the developer and the city have to agree on the calculation. That's my understanding.
Right.
And that's what we're voting on, is the calculation right now, because they are all estimates. And so I'll be honest with you. I'm sorry, and I didn't mean to cut you off. I just felt like I needed to explain that.
Yeah,
So-
no, and I think probably at this point, let's hear from Mr. Glover and sort of hear their side of it, since there's a dispute. Does that sound fair?
And one more question for Sabina. Did I hear you saying, is that correct? Nothing is done until a certificate of occupancy has been issued for any of this, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
But we're agreeing to a calculation, right? So yes, depending on what goes in there, the reimbursement may go up or down.
Right,
But it's
right.
the calculation that they're not in agreement with.
Well,
And
let's-
so
let's-
we're voting on setting a calculation.
That could change.
No, we're voting on that the calculation. So that won't change.
50%. Oh, the 50%, yeah, 50,
Yeah.
yeah, right, okay.
So-
And I think the issue is the cap, and we have to set a cap. And I think the issue, Mr. Glover, when he speaks, I believe is the cap. But a cap
Part of the
has to be set.
calculation. Correct, okay, yeah.
All right.
And we decided to set a cap at what now? And can you tell us why the cap? Is that a standard?
It is a standard, yes.
Okay.
It was written in the ordinance, correct? Whatever the number, the 50%?
Well, the 50% is half of the total amount
Right.
we would pay back, that we would rebate. And the cap, you are looking at that percentage of the fee. So if they're going to get back $84,291,000, I said not to exceed $85,000. I set that cap.
Okay.
So if you wanted to set the cap higher,
Well, no, not necessarily. I'm trying to be consistent as to, you've set a cap, but it's 50%. I understand what you're saying to a certain degree. I think probably need to hear from the developer as to what their disagreement is, and then we just go from there once we hear that, just to be fair.
I have another question regarding the cap. So we're saying that with the residential, that cap, this is $842,882 for the residential, $118,910 for the commercial.
so
Those are the caps that we're looking at?
at that bottom figure where it says regardless of the actual fees paid. On page 251. That's correct.
Correct, where it says not to exceed 85,000 a year residential, not to exceed 12,000 a year commercial, on the bottom of page 251.
Yes, that's over a 5-year period.
Over a 5-year period, but paid yearly, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, I think I know what the problem is, but I'd rather hear it from the developer.
Yeah.
As to what his difference is. So, I mean, that's fine.
Yes, because if he, pays more than that, then
We've
we
got to,
feel it would not be fair.
okay. I mean, let's go ahead and hear that so that we can clarify it for our sake before we vote.
Thank you. Do we want to hear from Mr. Glover?
Sure.
Of course.
Thank you, Sabine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sabina.
Thank you.
Mr. Glover, would you like to speak to us?
I have some handouts. I thought I had more, but I think I have 8, so there should be enough if I could just. Mayor, members of council, thank you for the opportunity to be here. I do want to address several of the issues that were brought up, and I do think parts of it are addressed correctly, but parts of it are not. And if you would, just bear with me. Don't get lost in the handouts I just gave you. I'll walk you through them in just a second. I'm going to start by going through the memo that's on page 261 of your packet. From Ms. Craig to Mr. Biedenbow. I do think it's important to point out that I originally submitted our first blush of this in discussion with staff in fall of 2024. As we began to develop this and work out what the issues are as far as the development. If we could keep the previous screen that you had up, because I need to come back to that too.
I'm sorry, Mr. Glover. I think Stuart needs to be in this conversation. Can we just hold off for a minute?
Absolutely.
Especially if this memo was to Stuart. I think he needs to be part of this conversation.
Could we get back to the page that was the table?
We keep having people disappear.
251. That's why 261 is not there. You leave it or not.
Yes, thank you. No, that's not it.
Okay, 251.
I feel like I'm wanting to drive when I went to take my test. Same time I'm trying to get my driver's license, I'm trying to learn to drive. This is
Thank you, Mr. Glover. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. So I just wanted to go through the memo that is on page 261 of 377, which is a memo from Ms. Craig to Mr. Biedenbow. Like I said, initially just for review and discussion, we submitted this packet in the fall of 2024. Back in April of this year, I was submitted by Ms. Craig several examples of prior economic incentive packages that had been approved for me to look over and to provide some flavor to our application that we would submit. So on May 1st, I submitted our first application for discussion, and where I take some umbrage with the memo here is it says we were requesting incentives in the amount of $1.9 million and $553,000. As you know, the incentives half of the fees. So the incentives that were requested would have been half of those amounts. Plus, I admit there was an error on my part for including some things that are not included in the calculation, such as property taxes generated, sales tax, things of that nature. So I resubmitted, and that is what you see on page 278. And as the memo states, that we were now requesting 1.4 million and 549,000. You can see clearly we've marked, because of the confusion before, we've marked with an asterisk that does not, our calculations do not include these numbers, which is property taxes, sales tax, some others. And so if you look at the numbers below that, the numbers are lower than the total, and then you divide that by half, and then those are the incentives that are applied for. So in that case, it was $639,748 for the residential and $154,956 for the commercial. So from May 1st, that was our application. On August 29th, it was not the 22nd, it was the 29th, because it was the Friday prior to Labor Day weekend. I met with Ms. Craig and your city attorney, Mr. Smith, and I was given the handout that is marked number 1 in the packet that I had. So there's a blue number 1 right up at the top corner. So that was what I was provided by staff. So once staff had, over the 4 months since I had submitted on May 1st, these were the numbers that they came back with and said, these are our calculations. I immediately saw some issues that I disagreed with on building permits, and you have to excuse, as we're in the meeting, I'm writing my notes on this, so that's why you see scribbling all over the page. So these were the numbers that staff came back and said, this is what we believe is accurate. So I resubmitted after reviewing this and talking to the staff people at the bottom of this page that I've written down. I resubmitted the packet for consideration. We did ask, I submitted it in time for the first meeting in October, but we were asked to hold over until the second meeting in October, which unfortunately I had to be out of town and was not able to be here. Item 2 in your packet, the blue number 2 up at the top, was what was included in your packet on October 27th. And then I was emailed a copy of that packet. I immediately, as soon as I opened it, I knew there was an error. You can see that the residential permits inspections had dropped to $125,000. When I called, I was told by staff that instead of doing individual homes, 246 individual homes, they just did a $50 million building, which it comes out with half of the fees because you have a graduated fee on your building permits. So for 246 homes, you have a $560 base rate, and then it's $3.80 per thousand over that. Well, for a $50 million building, it's $2,000 base rate, and I believe it's $2.50 maybe per thousand. So that was the difference immediately that I saw there. I notified staff, talked to a couple of folks, and then I believe late on Friday, y'all received an update to your packet, which is page 3 of this handout. So now you can see the building permit fees are back up to the 220, which I agree with that number. Plan check fees we agree with. The impact fees we agree with. The water tap fees we agree with. Here's the issue again on residential. In the memo, we're told that we calculated business license fees for the residential per house, and that is incorrect. We factored in business license fees for all of the contractors, subcontractors, landscape architects, all of those stuff. But the number that I've included in my application is the 130,000 that staff came up with. I didn't come up with that number. Staff came up with that number, but now we're being told that's incorrect. On the commercial, it is an estimate. I understand that. But if you will look at page 4, after the October 27th meeting, I was not able to attend, but I did watch it virtually, which is a great service, by the way, that you offer folks. And I thought it was made clear that our marching orders from that night were to get with staff and discuss what the disagreements were over the numbers, and then to come back and bring that to you tonight. So the email that you have from me is, I go through every single part of how I calculated the fees. I talk about permits. Now, at this point, we're in agreement on the residential. We're talking about commercial. I talk about permits. We actually talked to a contractor who just priced a retail building, just like we would propose over here in Rutland Place at the Aiken Mall project. He priced it 2 weeks ago. It was $138 square foot for a cold dark shell. That means no interiors, no finishes, no nothing. I added $75 a square foot into that. Now these are permitted values, not retail values. The plan review fees is a 50% value. It's a 50% of your permit. That's a pretty easy. Now the impact fees for your commercial are generated by how much water is used by the commercial entity. If you continue further, I have a spreadsheet, which would be the last page of your handout, where I show parcels 1 through 7. That's every commercial parcel that we have. We show the square footage. We show the cost per square foot to construct it to give a permit fee. And then we also come up with water usage estimates for each of those buildings. Now, we don't know if it's going to be a car wash. We don't know if it's going to be an insurance company. But if you see in my narrative, what I did was based every single space on just a little bit more than the common house uses for water. 580 gallons a day. 400 gallons is the standard for a single family residential home. With that being spread out over the course of if I have an insurance agency, that's great. They're going to not use that much water. If I have a car wash, they're going to use a lot more water. So I submitted that. Here's my spreadsheet. Here's my formulas. Here's how I reach those numbers. It's not a secret. On Thursday, I received a phone call and from Ms. Craig, and she explained to me, we're sticking with our numbers. So I asked, can you show me how you derived your numbers? How did you reach those numbers? We've already had 4 different versions of those numbers. How did you get to that number? We'll send you the packet. I was told that twice. As I stand here tonight, I still have not received that packet. I had to go download all of this off of your agenda packet from the website. So my question to you tonight is, one, you see this, the computations that we put into this, how we reached it. I have not seen one thing from the city that shows us that they did the same exercise. All we've asked is, how did you reach the number? And it seems as they've changed 4 times. In fact, ironically, if you look at this spreadsheet, which is the second to the last page, my figures on here are less than what the staff's recommendation was that they handed me on August 29th.
I don't have that big.
My point being this, it is an estimate. But if it's estimated too low, then it's the developer that suffers the consequences for that. If it's too high, it doesn't affect anyone because it's still based on actuals. If we put 4 million down here as an estimate and only 100,000 is delivered, then it's based on actual. If you put 20,000 down there and we deliver 4 million, then it's capped at 20,000. I'm not saying that their numbers are wrong. I'm just saying they can't tell me how they got to the number. I think it's fair. We submitted our spreadsheet. We gave how do we come to this number. We didn't just pull it out of the sky. There was a methodology to this. But all we get back is a total number. And the reason I asked for that prior thing that we had up, and this isn't it, I don't think. I can put my glasses back on. Exhibit A is mentioned throughout the ordinance as our numbers. Those are not our numbers. And in fact, the prior thing that you had up, if we could get back to it, I'd appreciate it. At the last meeting, our information from our application was changed to match Exhibit A. And it's not what we submitted at all. So my request to you tonight is, I've changed my number. I changed the business license fees that the city gave me for residential. That was a number they provided to me. On commercial, I do think it's higher than what's listed in here. In fact, my number again is lower than what the city estimated on the August 29th handout, which is number 1 in your packet. At this point, there is no, so the way it works is once these permits are pulled, 12 months from CO, that is when the incentives are paid out. Meaning that if a home started today and it took 6 months to construct and then got its CO, then you're paying out this incentive 18 months from now. We're squabbling over business license fee estimates that are based on actual. Why does it matter what the number is? It's based on the actual. If we did, I think that's it. There we go. That was not my application. That was changed, but that is my application, but those numbers were changed. I guess I could feel better about it if I saw some methodology to how those numbers were reached. And I've yet to see it. I've asked for it. I haven't seen it. So my request to you tonight would be to take these numbers from this spreadsheet and accept that as Exhibit A. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes. Miss Craig's coming up, then I'll call on you. Thank you, Don.
Thank you for allowing me to come back up here. And yes, Mr. Glover is correct. We have gone over the numbers multiple times. And yes, I did change his numbers because he has talked with staff multiple times, trying to get the numbers correct. I did provide him samples of different incentives, and he did not tell me that business license for residential or for plumbers or framers or sheetrock roofers, or the examples that he gave. He did not. As a matter of fact, the one example that I gave to him from Portrait Hills, I explained to him that that's how we arrived for those business license, for those developers. That was not in his application the way that it is outlined in this application. So that's different. Which, again, those business license fees was $80. Again, with another development, the business license fee was $50. And another development, the business license fee was $16,220.80. So it is a big difference in those fees. He sat down or talked over the phone with each staff person, one in engineering who talks about the water, the sewer, in regards to that. He talked with someone in our building for our building license and inspections fees, and then he talked with someone in the permit, the business license fees, and then someone in our business, in engineering, and then in our building. So they have talked to him. Our calculations comes from IAS 400 based on the houses, the number of houses. That's how that's calculated. It does not calculate commercial. So those how those fees are calculated. Those where the numbers comes from, based on the number of houses. So those how those figures are come up with, and he has sat down and talked with those people individually. And that was how it comes up. And each person lets him know these are your numbers based on what you have given.
So Sabine, Madam Mayor, may I ask a question, please?
Yes.
So, am I to understand that you received your numbers from commercial and you had the residential numbers, and that's how you came to?
Based on the information that he talked with each staff person, that staff person gave those numbers to me. It's all documented. I have everything documented, and we sat down and we all had a meeting and we all met. We met on several occasions after each conversation that he has had with staff. He's had multiple conversations with staff.
So no one came, you didn't come in the same room together and say, these are the numbers that we have.
We met.
Listen.
He has met with each staff person on multiple times, but only once, because I've asked staff, have you talked with Mr. Glover? A lot of times he had not actually talked with him. He's come up with his numbers based on the information that he has took off the website or our forms.
My question is,
We have sat down one time.
As a staff group?
Not as a staff group. As a staff group, we have met, but not with Mr. Glover. But we have met with Mr. Glover and our attorney at one time. Yes.
Was that?
But not to talk about his numbers. He's met with each staff person, and the staff person gave me the numbers based on the conversation after they met with him or talked with him.
Can I ask a question?
Madam Mayor, I think I'm sorry.
Just a question. Do you normally do this?
This is the first time this has ever been an issue.
But is it part of your normal job to do this?
I'm sorry?
Is it part of your normal job to calculate these things?
I do not make the calculations. The other staff in each other department makes the calculations, and I get the calculations from them. But normally by this time, fees have already been paid.
And they get those calculations from an AS400 system, you said?
Our computer system, yes.
So staff's not calculating them. You guys, their system generated numbers based on whatever houses or whatever you input.
Yes, that's correct.
My head hurts.
Yours.
Wow. So, are we allowed to talk yet or no, not yet? No.
Yes, council comments from.
I just, my brain wants to go back to just common sense level ground, right? And so, when you were meeting with staff and then Mr. Glover and you and Gary met, or you and Gary met, I don't know, Mr. Smith, excuse me. At what point, because this got completely fell off the rails, obviously, in August? It came before us 2 weeks ago, off the rails, and we as a council asked that staff and developer get together and figure this out together in a room and come up with a solution. I'm not hearing that has happened, so I'm going to put the ball in Stuart Biedenbau's court as the city manager. What oversight and what guidance was given to staff and the developer to work through this? Because it sounds like they haven't met. It sounds like what we requested wasn't accomplished. And now we're here trying to do,
I think it would have been.
mathematics, algebra, whatever it is you want to call it, as a council. And I could just look at all of our faces and we don't even, I don't know where to begin.
Well, I think there was a great desire to get this to council by today. And yes, the meeting did not take place. I did, again, I think in a normal circumstance, I think there was some, frankly, I'll just be frank, I think there was concern that, having to re-educate or educate a new council, there was concern there. So there was, I think, an artificial urgency to try to get it to this date. And frankly, the meeting should have happened, but I think that getting it to this date was the main overriding factor. But yes, I think having that meeting did not take place. It should have. I know I was preoccupied with other items that are going to be on the agenda later. But yes, that meeting did not happen. And I think probably, well, it should happen, frankly.
Agreed.
And I know Mr. Glover went out of town. We did try to meet, and we did try to pull this together. Our staff did get together. After speaking with Mr. Glover, we did try to work this out as best we could and try to be fair. And again, we are trying to be fair. And ultimately, as the ordinance says, it is up to council. We're not trying to keep anything from Mr. Glover. We do want to be fair.
I just want to add to Stuart's point. I mean, I've never been trained on this. I've never been educated on this. So our council, the next council, I mean, I don't work in their AS 400 system. You know, it's apparently a plug and play that comes up with these numbers, is what I'm hearing from staff. So, you know, educating a council versus the next council, I don't think that's relevant. I just don't think the right meetings were had, and we're in this mush of a mess. And I hate it for the city, and I hate it for the developer. I am so sorry that this is even happening. Like, these types of things shouldn't even happen. We should come up with a packet that's bundled, signed, sealed, and delivered, where we're looking at numbers that make sense, that have a source, that come from somewhere because of an ordinance or something of that nature. But I'm not seeing a pathway from the city. And I appreciate your pathway, Mr. Glover, but I mean, anybody can come and give us numbers, right? So I'm trying to be fair. We're talking a lot about fairness tonight. And it's just, we're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. And that's unfortunate for us. I mean, I don't even know how to proceed, to be honest with you. I certainly don't want to vote on this.
Well, I'm not certain either, but Mr. Moniak wanted to say something, so I think
Yes, he did.
we need to finish with that
Thank
part
you,
of it.
Ms. Craig. Thanks.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Mr. Moniak, would you like to say something?
Yes, I'd just like to point out a few things about your ordinance. Is that in the findings of fact, section C, it says ordinance was necessary to develop a program under which financial, economic developments may be provided to private entities in a consistent manner. And I emphasize consistent, and all the other economic incentives you've provided in the past have all had a cap. Loki Lane, Magnolia Acres, Betsy's on the corner who moved, and there's a few others. They've all had caps, but the ordinance doesn't require a cap. But the ordinance in section 5C does require a cap in terms of percentages, up to 50%, but it's up to 50%. There's no obligation to provide up to 50%, to provide 50%. You could provide just 30% and raise the cap to make it even more confusing.
You were helping until you did that.
I thought you were going to make me feel better, Mr. Moniak.
Madam Mayor, I have,
Yes.
excuse me.
Madam Mayor.
Go ahead.
Well, does anybody, we need to make sure
That's
there's
right. Is
anybody
there
else.
anyone else?
Anyone else from the public want to speak?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the topic.
Yes,
Yes.
most definitely. Okay, comments from council.
I was just going to say, at this point, it seems to me the most logical thing to do is just table this till the next meeting and let Stuart arrange a meeting and get it taken care of. We could debate this for hours,
Right.
like we already have, but more hours. So now I would say, you know,
A motion to continue.
Oh, well, wait a minute. And just to continue it and shortly, I agree with Andrea of the fact of common sense. I don't understand why we're making estimates of something and saying that makes our cap. And reading the ordinance, what Mr. Moniak just went through, it's like it could be anything we wanted it to be. So it's based on actuals, which Mr. Glover pointed out, and we don't have any actuals except for one building. In one building, I promise you what's coming next could be more, it could be less. It doesn't matter. The residential, my experience with residential is they get started, costs are down, but they start adding to it, it gets better as it's successful. That doesn't necessarily mean that's going to happen either. This is confusing. We've never done this in the 8 years that we've had this. I've done it and been involved from Mr. Glover's end, but it was not quite the same situation. So, and it's a long time ago, and I don't remember everything. So I guess there's no way to come up with an answer.
Madam Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
at our last meeting, just to add more confusion,
Please do.
we were given this sheet that was supposed to have been the original, the correct original that was submitted, that has none of the numbers that match anything that I have. None. So I don't know where this came from, but it was handed out at the last meeting as the correct original that was submitted. So I don't know.
Anyone, would you like to say something? So,
I think Ed Wolf had a comment.
No, nothing else to say.
Well,
Thank you, though.
It looks like there's 5 variations of numbers we have at hand to figure out which is.
Well, I think that was because we were asked to provide kind of a trail of how do we get to the final numbers. That's why there's a lot of things in the packet. We were asked at the last meeting to provide that.
Okay.
I made the motion. I suggest we continue it. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
But there's nothing here that we can actually put our finger on at this point.
And I need a second.
Well, the question, just hold that thought.
I agree with Ed.
Go ahead, Leslie.
The question is, though, if we made a motion, which one are we
Which motion?
relying on?
Well, now we're just saying we're going to continue it. And
The motion,
Right.
if I may, the motion to continue would take precedence over the original motion.
right. And we,
I'm making a statement. Can I make a statement?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm doing. I'm making a statement.
Well, he made the motion, I second.
Well, I didn't hear you second. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Well, this-
Councilman Girardeau made the motion and Councilwoman Diggs seconded motion. So we are going to continue.
well, we're going to vote.
We have to vote.
Oh, sorry. All those in favor?
Well, I made my statement in terms of what, and I've gotten an answer, so.
Is it unanimous? Everyone voted for it.
Yeah, there's nothing we can do with this.
Thank you all. We now move to new business. The first item is approval of a resolution to purchase parking lot property at 128 York Street Northeast and 125 Fairfield Street Northeast from First Baptist Church. Mr. Biedenbow.
It's a resolution authorizing the purchase of property from the First Baptist Church of Aiken. The budget adjustment was done earlier. It's for 2 parcels that have York Street Northeast and Fairfield Street Northeast frontage. It is used for parking. The church approached us about our interest in purchasing. I do believe we should strongly consider purchasing these parcels due to the fact that that is the primary parking for the Center for African American History, Art, and Culture. And I believe you need to recuse, Ed? But anyway, this is a resolution to purchase.
And Mayor, I will have to recuse myself for the same reason as before.
We'll make it fast. You can come right back.
So move.
Well, I make the motion.
Okay, Councilwoman Diggs made the motion. Councilwoman Price.
I thought I'll second the motion since
Okay.
I made the motion first, but that's okay.
I looked the wrong way. Councilwoman Price made the motion. Councilwoman Diggs seconded the motion.
No, I'll let her take the
Okay,
motion.
sorry. The other way around. Thank you. Comments from the public? Comments from council? All those in favor? Thank you. Motion passed, or the resolution passed. Next is first reading of an ordinance to adjust the 2025-2026 budget to include allocation of C funds for road paving projects. Mr. Beedenbow.
Thank you. It is an ordinance amending the budget of the city of Aiken for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025 and ending June 30, 2026. The State Department of Transportation provides so-called C funds allocated for local road projects. We have identified roads with this funding to be paved. These are city-maintained roads. We did pave Governor's Lane, but also Ascot Drive, Spencer Road, Reed Drive, Jahasi, Northland, and Whitehall. And our pavement of city-maintained roads, which is about 20% approximately of our road mileage in the city. Vast majority of our road mileage is state DOT paved. But these monies were used, we were unable to pave last fall and into early spring due to Hurricane Helene, so we are a little behind. But we have gotten Governor's Lane, and this is before you for first reading.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I so move, Madam Mayor.
Councilwoman Burrell made the motion. A second from
I second.
Councilwoman Diggs. Any comments from the public? Comments from council? All those in favor?
Wait, so these that are listed here are the only ones that's being paved right now?
For this year, these are the only city-maintained roads. There's DOT-maintained roads that are being paved. Separate money, we don't have to approve those funds. This is city-maintained roads. The C funds are appropriated to us for then disbursement to be paved.
I was asking because I see Jahasi Drive, which is in my district, and that sort of wraps around Governor's Aiken Park, so
Yes.
that's a good thing.
The question was, where do these funds come from? They come from the Department of Transportation through, I believe, gasoline tax money.
Thank you, Stuart.
Favor? Thank you. Unanimous. Next is first reading of an ordinance to grant an easement to Dominion Energy for a utility line to a mixed-use building on Newberry Street. Mr. Beeden.
This is an ordinance authorizing the city to grant an easement to Dominion Energy for the building at the 100 block of Newberry Street Northwest that is the so-called mixed-use building, or the lab has they are calling the building, and this was illustrated in Dr. Green's presentation that he gave Thursday and Friday, the Joint Institute for Workforce Development. So we've been calling it colloquially the mixed use building, but it is the Joint Institute for Workforce Development for the lab building. But they, in order to install a utility line and transformer, Dominion needs an easement, and it is before council for first reading.
Thank you. Is there a motion for this?
Motion, I'm sorry. Motion made for approvals.
Councilwoman Price made the motion and Councilwoman Gregory seconded the motion. Any comments from the public? Comments from council? All those in favor? Thank you. Unanimous. The next item under new business is approval of a resolution accepting a grant from the South Carolina Department of Archives and History for a historic resource survey and training for members of the Design Review Board. Mr. Beedenbow.
Thank you. You did read the title. It is a grant with matching money. The matching grant is $40,000 from Department of Archives. Our match would be up to $5,000. After discussion with SHPO, we added an additional $5,000 to fund training. So we will. It's basically a dollar for dollar match. We have not done a historic resource survey since 2010. having this updated, I think, is important. And this is before council this evening for in form of resolution.
Is there a motion to accept this resolution for the grant?
So move, Mayor.
Councilwoman Gregory made the motion, and a second from? Councilman Waltz. Thank you. Any comments from the public? Comments from our council?
This is a great opportunity to educate our DRB. This is great.
It is. So, am I missing?
It's a big learning curve. DRB's big learning curve.
Do I have enough people?
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor then? Thank you. 2 people missing.
Councilwoman Price and Councilman Gerardo were out of the room during the 5-0 unanimous vote.
The final item under new business is first reading of an ordinance authorizing the City of Aiken to authorize the city manager to execute and deliver an agreement to provide for the development of a parking deck and agreement to stabilize and improve the Hotel Aiken and surrounding properties. Mr. Beedenville.
Thank you. This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Aiken, South Carolina, authorizing the city manager to develop for the development of a parking deck and an agreement to stabilize and improve the Hotel Aiken and certain surrounding properties and other matters there too. Essentially, we have approved a purchase and sale agreement with the Oliver Hospitality Group after 2 readings. Both times we noted how did we get to this point. So we have to turn to a development agreement for this project. The September 29th and September 30th, the Oliver Group and their partners came, Oliver Hospitality Group and their partners came and took some public input and showed the project to the public. It demonstrated that their intention is to renovate the Hotel Aiken, add what I would call a little annex or a building, a piece adjacent to the hotel. It would have it's in the 75 to 80. The last number is 77 rooms. The Holly House Motor Court on the east side of B Lane would be demolished. Some of the lean-to elements of the buildings fronting Richland Avenue and Newberry Street would be removed, but the historic portions of those buildings, the Johnson Building, the McGee Building, the Johnson Drugstore, the McGee Building, the old Aiken Standard Building, those majority of that would be adaptively reused. What this development agreement calls for is several things that would allow for continuation of the project. First, the developer is going to replat the property to more clearly delineate portions of the property that will be adaptively reused or renovated. Therefore, it'll be eligible for appropriate tax credits and incentive. And it will also delineate which property will have new construction. There would be funds from plutonium settlement money not exceeding $2 million for hotel stabilization and a hotel stabilization and improvement contract to assist with the developer. There is a parking deck construction project that is proposed adjacent to B Lane. It would essentially be between B Lane and Newberry Street. Right now, it is would not exceed 55 feet. It would be 4 levels with 4 levels of a garage with a parking on the roof, so really 5 levels of parking. Approximately, I think right now we're looking at 210 spaces. the city would pay for that parking garage. The developer would build the deck, and it would have a cost plus a developer's fee of 12%. The square footage of the parking deck, when you add in all levels, is approximately 89,670 feet. The developer, with the city's support, would work with Aiken County to potentially obtain multi-county business park designation for their new construction portion of the project, except for the garage, which would be owned by the city. The city finds that the Aiken configuration qualifies as, again, the replatting. We mentioned 2 separate abandoned buildings for appropriate tax credits. There would be a permanent easement encompassing 15 spaces adjacent to the hotel entrance for the purposes of valet parking, guest loading, and hotel approach operations, ensuring safe and functional guest access. This is an interesting point. I know when the prior owners, the Shaw family, owned the building, we had similar conversations with them about that as well along Richland Avenue, essentially between B Lane and Lawrence Street Southeast. And in accordance with the economic development ordinance, there would be a rebate on permits, licenses, and utility impact fees due to the importance of this project. Couple things also to keep in mind. This project would still need to go, it falls within the Design Review Board purview, so any work done within the footprint of this property would need to go to the Design Review Board for approval. At this point in time, it would not need to go to the Planning Commission. There's really no change to zoning or matters that are within the purview of the recommending body of the Planning Commission. I know the developer is saying that should this be passed through 2 readings, and I guess the approvals are given. They've been working hard. The project would, they ideally would like to start middle year 2026, if not earlier. This is kind of akin to a public-private portion of the property. I know it's no secret that we had the initial plan, the so-called Project Pascalis plan, had a lot of demolition, basically demolition of the entire footprint of the site, going out into what currently is Newberry Street, the 100 blocks south of Newberry in the southbound lane. That resulted in a lawsuit that was filed in July of 2022. So that project was basically stopped, and all those processes were terminated, and a process began to unwind and get to this point where we have marketed it, and we selected the Oliver Hospitality Group, and now it is in front of council. I know a parking garage or a parking deck has been an issue that I think the public, it is a polarizing issue. I don't think is an exaggeration. The deck is something that I know has been thought through carefully. I know we've heard our representatives from Colliers tell us that almost everyone who looked at the property wanted some sort of parking amenity. In a sense, it's akin, based on conversations I've had with Ms. Johnson from Historic Aiken. It's kind of back to the future. There was a small deck there in the mid-20th century, not this size, but it was roughly 60-ish, as far as we can tell, spaces in a parking deck. So it's kind of going back to the future. This development agreement, this first reading kind of keeps us on track. The thought is try to bring a second reading back to the council in December, at the December meeting, which is, I think, scheduled for the 9th. Is it 8th of December? But just the Oliver Hospitality Group was very much wanting to keep on track. We've been working on this. There's still some elements that we're kind of working on that are going to need some fine tuning about the garage agreement, and the hotel stabilization and improvement, sort of detailing some of those elements. But again, something that's been a lot of work to this point, and this is before council and the public for first reading and public hearing, Madam Mayor and Council.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to move this on?
I so move.
Councilwoman Brohl and Councilman Waltz second the motion. Any comments from the public? Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Linda Johnson, 515 Parkside Drive. I have a couple of questions. I mean, most of it makes sense, but on the parking garage, I've come a long way from no parking garages to, yes, we probably need one. How will this really work? So you have the developer designing it and building it, but then the city would own and manage it. So would the hotel then have to pay for parking spaces, or how will this work?
Thank you for the question, because it is it should have been mentioned in my comments. How the proposal would work is there would be, obviously, with the hotel and the small number of residential units, there would be spaces earmarked. We're expecting about 90 spaces, up to 90, and there would be a fee paid on a regular basis, monthly, quarterly, what have you, for use of those spaces, which would go into upkeep of the deck and maintenance cost of the deck. But the deck would be owned by the city of Aiken.
Okay.
And paid, the deck would be owned by the city of Aiken and paid for by the city of Aiken, yes.
But at this point, it is anticipated that the public, if they need to park there for something downtown, it would be free?
I think that is the expectation now, that yes, a free parking is kind of viewed as a divine right, like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in Aiken. But there have been zero discussion for charging for parking unless you are a patron in the hotel or have we're staying in the multifamily.
Okay.
But if I'm a John Q. citizen coming to town for an event, or a worker, if there's an open space, otherwise the expectation is it would be available and no fee for parking.
Okay. The other question, I still have time. On the improvements that the city's going to pay for, you're doing some sort of prep work then to make it work for the hotel developer, or how is this like buying a house and they asked you to replace the carpet first?
It'll be kind of a partnership. We'll work hand in glove with them. Certainly, if they need specialized or particular work done to the hotel, we will want to work with them and make sure that the firm or entity that does the work is who of the the Oliver Hospitality Group's choosing. If they want Red Widget Incorporated to do it, we're not going to hire Blue Widget Incorporated. We would work with them to make sure that that the appropriate standards and it's someone of their expectation. So it would be, I guess it's not a apples to apples analogy of if I buy a house from you and I want you to replace the carpet. That's not entirely accurate, but it will be akin to we will be working on a partnership level to make sure that that expectation is reached.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Linda, at the expense of up to $2 million from the Plutonium Settlement Fund, which are community funds for North Side and downtown development.
Which provides a good segue, because I was going to ask about plutonium funds. I thought they were all allocated already from the $25 million.
It would be reallocated.
From a different, so it'd be some projects that are going to be canceled?
Well, no, sir. We had projects done, like for work at Generations Park came in under budget. We've got additional monies coming in from CPST 5 for Generations and other funds, but primarily from that aspect of the plutonium funds.
Okay. Is there an estimate yet on the garage cost? That's what a lot of people are asking.
Right. We're still, that's why we want to get a good estimate, but right now it's probably high seven figures. So I would say $7.5 million or a little higher. But that's what the expectation is. It will be an up to cost or a not to exceed cost. One thing to remember, if a garage is built, if it's going to have to meet certain design standards of the Design Review Board, the design guidelines, and we expect that to certainly impact the cost, but that's okay because we do want this to be a something that is in keeping with the harmony and ethos of the surrounding properties.
Speaking to that, during the presentations at Newberry Hall, they showed it being 5 stories, but this is down. It's going to be 4 levels now.
My understanding was it's 4 levels with a 5th floor park. Essentially, you're parking on the roof for the 5th, or is it 5? I know it's kind of moved back and forth.
Yes.
We could let Mr. Bradford or someone. It is 4. Yeah, you can come up and address that matter. It's, I know, fluctuated. I've seen 4 with a roof, 5. Because of the footprint, it's changed several times.
That was it.
Good evening, Craig Bradford. I'm from Franklin, Tennessee. So, it is 5 levels. The top level is open air, but they're not building levels. They're garage levels, which are lower. So it is not exceeding 55 feet.
So the 5th level is really the top of the 4th level, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to articulate, and I did a substandard job of articulating that.
So typically, on a building, you're typically floor plate to plate. You might be 12 feet. On a parking garage, you're around 8 to 9. Well, it's actually 10 feet with the size of the structure and so forth. Clear span, it's about 8 feet. I hope that clarifies.
Thank you.
And I guess too, one thing, the entrance, there would be one means of egress. It would only be on Newberry Street. And I know I've gotten questions about impacts on the Festival Center. The Festival Center currently, I know in talking to staff that has worked Newberry Street for a while, or for years. When the lobster races were here, we used the entirety of Newberry, but now we almost exclusively still use the area as a turnaround. So patrons of the pizza joint and Newberry Hall to kind of minimize those impacts. But that entrance point would be in that area just north of Newberry Hall is where our means of egress would be, an entrance and exit for the deck.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Council. Judy Reinhardt, 519 Marlborough Street. My question is, why is the city of Aiken having to pay for the parking? I mean, if I buy a house or a piece of property to renovate it for future use, I wouldn't ask the seller to build the garage for me, you know, for the house that I'm buying. Why was it decided that the city of Aiken is to pay for this?
I think two reasons. Thank you for the question. Ms. Reinhardt, the first is that a majority of this parking would be publicly available. Right now, if we're looking at about 210, 211 spaces, about 58% of the spaces would be available to the general public. The other is it is an element of this partnership or endeavor for the hotel, the public-private nature, is that the garage would be the initial building costs would be paid by the city, and but again, once the garage is operational and the project, the hotel and surrounding developments are done, there would be costs remitted to the city for maintenance and upkeep.
Okay, and did I hear correctly that it's to be funded by the plutonium money?
No, that is not correct.
Part of it is, you just said $2 million was going to go towards resurfacing and readjusting or refixing or whatever the structure before they build. So that's up to $2 million.
For the Hotel Aiken building.
Correct. $2 million, up to $2 million from the plutonium settlement funds is being negotiated to go towards that. In addition to the $7.5 million for
the developer?
Correct. To set the property so they can build or rehab it. So we're assisting them more. We're about almost $17 million now with all these little bits. Every time we vote on something, it just keeps going up and up and up. So now 7.5 parking garage, $200,000 for the, what is it, the design or the
yes
something, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're giving them $200,000 for designing this whole thing. Let's see, $2 million plutonium funding that is the community's money for downtown and Northside development is going towards this hotel as well. I mean, it's just.
I think the question was answered.
It's a lot of money. Thank you for asking the question.
And the $2 million is going for the garage is not part of the $2 million. It's more shoring up the Hotel Aiken building. But if I understood Ms. Reinhardt's question, I do think it was about the garage.
Anyone else would like to say? Yes. Thank you.
Hello, Council. Sam Erb, Dibble Road, Aiken. For all you outgoing city council members, I appreciate all the hard work and everything. So, the parking garage is a must. If we don't have the parking garage, we'll have an empty building. Once that building is a hotel and all the surrounding buildings are built, the city forever will be collecting taxes. That's a wonderful thing. It's better than the way it is right now, costing the city money. So let's move this project forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Anyone else want to speak? Comments from council?
Businesses have the developer and whoever's designing the building, that's one and the same, I'm assuming, spoken with the businesses as to what to expect. There's multiple questions that these businesses are asking, and I can't answer them because I have not sat in on meetings. Even though it's in my district, I don't know how to respond except you will hear from them when plans are more finalized, and that's all I know to tell them. Am I accurate in that, or?
Yes, there's been, I know during the charrette, some of the business owners came and talked to Craig, and I believe there might have been some email or contact with, I'm thinking of specifically the new proprietor of Malia's. But once, I believe this moves, if this moves forward, if council deems it appropriate to move forward, then those discussions will certainly begin in earnest, because they'll begin to start developing project timelines, and then they can accurately and timely have these discussions with the adjacent businesses. I know I've had multiple meetings with a couple of the business owners, because they are understandably, they want to make sure the impact on their ability for commerce is minimized. There will be some impact just by the nature of construction, but trying to minimize it is going to be critical.
Well, the other is that they're concerned about where placement will be with all of the equipment they'll use. That's a great concern. I don't know that. I've said that I'm sure we'll find a place that doesn't hinder things too much, but those things are unanswered at this moment.
Yeah, the developer.
That's the way I've responded.
Yeah, that's a good answer. The developer, though, I had a meeting. Mr. Bradford arrived to town. He was arrived here early, and they've got some good ideas to minimize like lay down impacts. There will be some by the nature of it being a construction project, but they've got some really good ideas that I think will minimize some of the sort of lay down aspects of a construction project, which they're working on, and he shared with me several hours ago.
I'd like to make a comment. Thank you. And that is, as a fellow downtown business owner, that the developer has been very, very open and agreeable to talking with me and all the other downtown business owners at any time, and he's offered his email, phone number, and I'm sure that it will continue.
Well, I need to, if I have a question, who can I call as a council member? And it's in my district, so I can call you. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I know that at our last work session, we talked about this, and we were assured as time went on and we've gotten this development agreement that they are going to be communicating specifically with the businesses impacted, but they want to hear all of our feedback and from the small business, and that as long as we keep communicating as information comes available, and I know what Leslie's feeling, I've been asked about things, and I'll say, we will let you know as soon as we know something, and I think they're setting up a question and answer online. Is that not correct? So that people that have questions can, so that there's not all this misinformation out there.
Yes, that's correct. We do have a website. Sorry, that's set up right now, and Councilwoman Price and everybody else appreciate the questions. The more common questions to include, Linda, when she gave some questions to the city manager yesterday or today. We'll put those onto the website and hopefully kind of get the truth, truth out there so everyone understands. But a lot of these things that are very, like when we had the design charrette, people were asking very specific questions about when are we going to have, when's construction going to start, when's going to, what is going to be the impact, where's the lay down yard going to be. It's very premature to know exactly what those, and I think it's a worst case scenario to actually say we think or guess at it than to actually rather know. I'm an engineer by trade, so I don't do a lot of guessing because bad things happen when we guess. So
like the cost of a parking garage.
You're a good negotiator too.
Well, thank you. But anyway, this is the parking garage. Everything about this has been pretty much an open book. It's with the city, and it's been so far. Again, I want to also express my appreciation to both the city as well as to the council for all your assistance. The parking garage design itself is something that we would be partnering with the city, to make sure that they're lockstep understanding it's at their direction to specifically what we're doing. So it's not we're going to drop something, and say here's what it is. This is just as truly a public park and a private
That's okay.
You got it.
Well, I will tell you something that I said that I hope you agree with me. There are businesses concerned about the impact on their businesses and Masters. And I said to them, nothing is going to start before Masters, April.
Next year's Masters.
2026.
Right. And also, that's been written into the agreement that no work can occur during that period of time.
Okay.
Yeah, we did note that
the city ad.
But the call is still coming in terms of impact with Masters.
The Masters will be a quiet period, the 8 to 10 days around the Masters. Plus, we wrote in there that disruption to B lane must be minimized. There may be times when it has to close temporarily, but it's not going to be a case where it's closed for days on end, months on end, because it is the main means to supply the some restaurants in the alley and the Center for the Arts and Malia's.
Yeah. All those requests are all permitted closures that we have to go through and work with the city on.
Right.
So it's not that we can just shut down a street without any type of prior approval. Thank you for that information.
Could you give the website that people could go to for our citizens? Do you know it?
It's oliverhospitality.com, and I think it's oliverhospitality.com/Aiken. And let me, if it's okay for me to check, I'll.
Sure.
Is that
people watching at home, which they do, will be able to go to that site.
Right. And there's also an email address that's currently our public relations people are monitoring that, but most likely I'm going to take that over and answer those questions directly. So,
okay.
So anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Any other comments from council?
I think the city needs to publish what's going into this. I mean, I understand it's in the memo for that, but it needs to be published. I mean, I talk to constituents every day, and they're like, "So, Andrea, what are we in it now?" And I give them a number, and that number keeps changing. And so, at least give us the numbers. So, publish them, put them out there. The city deserves to know every line item going towards this, and that's a big difference between where we were at 12, 13 million to now being over $16 million. That's a big jump. That happened overnight, happened in 2 weeks. So that was new negotiation that happened. I wasn't aware of that plutonium money thing. So that's new negotiation that happened. Find about it with this agenda packet for the first time. I mean, I just don't think that's appropriate. Put it out there. Let the community know exactly every nickel and dime going towards this.
Please vote. Call the question.
we go? I'll agree with the first reading. Your hand is up.
What's he doing?
Oh, I should have the microphone on. Now on to petitions and requests. The first item is approval of a professional services contract for WLA Studio to produce a historic resource survey. Mr. Bean.
Thank you. We do have a historic resource survey. The Planning Commission worked with members of the DRB and other interested parties to select a firm to produce a historic resource survey. You approved the grant, and WLA Studios has been selected, and they this comes as a recommendation to approve this contract from staff.
Thank you, yes. I do. A motion, please, from Councilman Waltz, and a second from
Second. Gosh, second.
Councilman Girardeau. Made the second. And comments from the public.
I've lost myself.
Comments from council. All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Next is approval of placement of a historical marker in the parkway at Chesterfield Street South and Park Avenue Southeast. Mr. Beedenbaugh.
We heard at our last work session on October 27th about the potential placement of a historic marker from Eugene White, who was past president of the local chapter of the NAACP. 4 years ago, Eugene sat with me and the former mayor about this matter, and I think he took it upon himself to, with our approval, that he would like to pursue this. I think it was felt at the time it was appropriate given kind of the gravity of the event back in 1926. Eugene worked hard. I guess since it took, I don't believe he worked every day for 4 years to get to this point, but I know you had a lot of things on your plate professionally and in your former job as president of the NAACP, the local NAACP. But I was privy to see his work, and he ran this through the South Carolina Department of Archives and History, and minimal changes. The marker would memorialize the incident. The proposal would be to place it in the parkway on the, I guess, what would that be, on the eastern side of Park Avenue in Chesterfield, near across from the courthouse, as we have put markers in parkways around our downtown. And city staff would assist with the installation once it's ready for placement. And this is for your consideration this evening.
Is there a motion to accept this?
I so move.
Councilwoman Diggs?
Second, Madam Mayor.
And Councilwoman Price, second the motion. All those would like to speak from the public? Yes, sir.
It's late. Good evening, everyone.
Yes, you're right.
And then there was one, Mayor Pro Temp.
That's
we
good.
really appreciate your consideration for this. Before we get to the business, we just want to say and congratulations to those who will be continuing on City Council. We are looking forward to long days and pleasant nights and working with you. And for those who are about to take their leave, we certainly appreciate your demonstrated commitment to the city. You certainly have left it better than you found it. And what I'd advise you to do is enjoy the holidays, take a long deserved rest, figure out what you're going to do with your Mondays, and I'm certain we'll figure out where we're going to see you all around again. Related to the monument, we appreciate your consideration for this memorial to commemorate the lynching of the Lohman family. We want to keep in mind that this serves as a good thing and that it allows us to honor all aspects of our past while helping us to build a more inclusive and resilient future. And it also acknowledges a painful chapter in Aiken's history, fostering healing and understanding. It also demonstrates commitment to truth, justice, and reconciliation, and it benefits all citizens by promoting unity, education, and respect for diversity. I often say when I've been talking about this is that memorialization is not about blame, but about learning, growing, and thriving together. And in closing, we just say that memorializing the Lohman family is a step towards a more unified and compassionate city, and we thank you for allowing us to honor our history and build a future together where all citizens can thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Eugene.
Thank you for your commitment.
And Madam Mayor, I just want to acknowledge the president of the NAACP, Reverend Guyton, and Dr. Guyton, his wife, with him. So we're happy to see you here tonight.
Thank you.
They're behind you, Eugene.
Anyone else want to speak about this? Yes, sir.
First, good evening, late evening. I'm Wesley Guyton, and I'm a local pastor here in Aiken. Also, the president of the NAACP of Aiken County, and I followed Eugene White as president later this year, and certainly we are in agreement with the marker and something he's been working on, and I thought it not robbery to continue with that because I think it's really important for the history of the African Americans. And so we just want to say that we appreciate you all this evening for your support that you've given us to allow us to have this marker placed in the city, because I've been raised in Aiken all my life, and I went away, come back, but at the same time, I kind of watched Aiken grow. And so I'm delighted to see this come to pass because I think it's very necessary to our culture. So we just want to let you know that we appreciate you all so very much. And with that, if you all can find something in your budget, we will accept it because there's a cost to it. So whatever you're able to do, we'll certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I see you brought several of your officers with you tonight, and they stayed their entire time. God bless y'all.
Swift. All those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Congratulations. Thank you.
Mayor, we do have Lowell Coppert from the Veterans Affairs Office. I know tomorrow's Veterans Day, and they have an event planned at the Veterans Park tomorrow morning. He just wanted to, I guess, share the information about that.
Yes, sir.
Never be late to this meeting ever again. So I know we've got some new members of council coming on. One of them's back there. You guys might want to pulse your replacements after tonight, see if they're still up for the challenge. All joking aside, though, Councilman Wolves, Councilwoman Gregory, and Councilman Gerardo, thank you guys for all the support that you've given the veteran community in your time with us. It's been a pleasure and an honor to work alongside you guys on behalf of the veterans of Aiken County. So appreciate all your effort and all your time and your guys' sacrifices, late nights, obviously. Tomorrow we have the Aiken County Veterans Council is hosting the Veterans Day ceremony that we do every year at the Veterans Park on Richland Avenue. Obviously, we know that this is a historical year, 250 years our military has been serving this great country. In keeping with that historic tradition, tomorrow we will have, instead of a veteran speaking, we will have Aiken City's own Pete Peters, who is your supervisor of tourism. I tell people he is the history version of Bill Nye the Science Guy. He knows every bit of history in Aiken. It's pretty astounding. And he's going to speak about some key veterans throughout the history of Aiken, so it should be a good event. And then lastly, we have a little bit of an issue that I wanted to share, and hopefully people are still up at this late hour watching and we'll get the news. But December 13th of every year around the world, we pause to do Wreaths Across America, and that's where we honor every fallen service member that is laid to rest in every cemetery around the world with a wreath. It's called Wreaths of America for a reason, and we are short in Aiken County roughly 1,000 wreaths across the board for the cemeteries due to a number of reasons. But the website is wreathsacrossamerica.org. You can go on there for more information. Wreaths are $17 to sponsor a wreath for a soldier's grave. We have, the deadline is December 1st. The ceremony for Aiken County will happen at Sunset Memorial Gardens in Graniteville at noon. We have retired Lieutenant Colonel Don Burke, who is also a part of our council, who is a retired Special Forces soldier, former Deputy Commander of 5th Special Forces Group. He will be the keynote that day. And so again, just wanted to put out those two tidbits of information for the general public. All of you that are on council, thank you all for the support that you guys give the veteran community. Roughly 20,000 veterans call Aiken County home. And again, to the three of you that are leaving, thank you so much for all the support over the years. We greatly appreciate it. I greatly appreciate it as well. So thank you. That's all I have.
You didn't announce the time tomorrow.
11 o'clock. 11.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Now,
We did that for the Marine Corps.
Are you guys relocating to an inside space?
No, ma'am. We're going to be outside, so bundle up. It's going to be a little chilly, but I like to tell people those that have served have done far more
I know.
for far much longer.
Well, you know, I've never missed one, but
Yes, ma'am. You've been a huge supporter. Yeah. So wear your gloves, scarves, hats. Come out and see us.
We
Greatly
appreciate all of your efforts. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, and Lowell, if my plane gets canceled in the morning, and at this point, I sure hope I get that message.
We can make that happen.
I just assume, well, make it happen, and I can be there at 11 in the morning.
Chief can create an incident on the way to the. Were you Augusta or Columbia?
No, Augusta, but no, don't go to that extent. Holy cow! But thanks for what. Thank you for what you do.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Commitment.
And Eugene, you run for council. I will move to the district so I can vote for you. And when Teddy's done, if you want to run for mayor, I don't have to move. I'll vote for you.
Be careful, my wife's watching.
Okay, that was public comment. So we have 30 minutes to comments, limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Anyone want to speak?
No.
There any items from Mr. Biedenfo, our city manager, this evening?
We are, just a reminder, the city offices are closed in observance of Veterans Day tomorrow.
Happy Veterans Day. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I guess I make the motion that we adjourn.
Council-
Last one.
You have 3 seconds now here.
I know. Councilman Girardeau made the motion, and
Well,
Councilman Waltz made the second.
He
All
was
those in
last.
favor? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Done. Go
That
home.
was
I gotta go home.
another memorable one for the books. God.